Hello, welcome to Lotus Heart Tarot. I am very happy to have you here. We're going to dive right into your reading and see what messages we have today for Pisces, please, Spirit, for Pisces. For my Pisces. Wow. Okay. You guys are getting the energy of the Ten of Swords in the past, the recent past. You're getting the Six of Wands in the current time. You're getting the Ace of Pentacles in the near future. And on the bottom of the deck, kind of informing everything, you have the Three of Wands. The Three of Wands is just, it's a very future forward energy. It's really holding a space of vision for what you want in the future. And it looks like, we see this a lot in your readings. You're coming out of a difficult time with the Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords, all of our swords are, it's not just like, oh, we had a really hard time. The Ten of Swords is actually like one of the harshest energies in the tarot card deck, and sometimes we sort of gloss over it because the 10 also signifies that it's an ending. So, and especially with it coming out in the past position, it's like, you've been here, done that. I don't need to tell you much more about it. The only important thing that's coming through to me when it comes to this Ten of Swords is that oftentimes it is like our thoughts or what we tell ourselves about what happened. It's not just kind of what happened. So in other words, like for some of you, this can be like, oh, I suffered, I got hurt. I'm, never going to try that again, or I'm never going to put myself out there again, or, this always happens to me. Kind of like piling on energy is kind of what I'm getting. So just, be careful with that. I feel like with the Six of Wands in your current moment, you have largely overcome this past energy. This is an energy of success and victory and kind of even recognition. And sometimes it is like the recognition with you, that like you have kind of overcome something. Like you may even have a realization like, wow, I'm not thinking that anymore. Wow, I don't talk to myself like that anymore. Or, it feels like, it's even the acknowledgement that I'm done with that phase. I'm done with that time. I'm never doing that again. I'm not going back there ever again. And that is in my control. Our thoughts are in our control. It could also, for some of you, denote like a relationship where there was like really harsh communication, and that it is over. It has come to an end, or you have finally completed that. Maybe you're no longer accepting that. You're no longer putting yourself in that position, right? But with the Six of Wands in your current energy, there is, even if it may even be where where like people around you are noticing it. Like, it's funny, I used to be really close with my sister for a few years. And when I stopped hanging out with her, people would say to me, oh my God, I like you so much more now that you don't hang out with your sister anymore. Isn't that crazy? A lot of my like close friends would be like, oh, I'm so glad. Like, she was not good for you. And it was hard to watch, or, it had a negative effect on you, and like you're back. It's so good to notice. So it may even be kind of like that. With her blowing out the candles, I am getting this is a bit of a celebration. Maybe you in your own recognition are like, I'm not feeling crappy like that anymore. I think I'm going to do something to celebrate. I'm going to take a trip, or I'm going to treat myself to dinner, or I'm going to have a nice drink, or whatever it is. There is a like celebratory energy in the here and now, in the present moment here. And with a 6, it is bringing things into balance. You are harmonizing, I feel like, with a very successful energy, or an energy that is harmonious with what you are looking to have in your life. You're coming to that place where you are the frequential match for it. And then you have the Ace of Pentacles. And this is in the near future. And guys, I mean, you've gotten confirmation and confirmation and confirmation on this energy in so many repeated readings lately. That you do have something solid and stable coming in. This is something that the universe, I almost said the office. That is so funny. I have no idea why in the world I would say that. Is bringing in for you. Maybe for some of you it's a raise. So maybe some of you it's like a partnership or a job, or you know, some kind of offer here, you know. But there is this energy of, you know, when you become the match for it, then the universe brings it in. So I'm going to clarify these energies. Honey bucket, did you chew that box up? Did you? Don't eat the box. Cardboard is not good. Here, let me give you a bone. I know, let me give you a bone because you are a little chewer girl. Oh, you want one too, Bucky? Okay. Twist my arm. There you go. There you go. I'll keep you occupied for 2 minutes. All right, sorry. Now let me clarify this for you. What can you tell me about the Ten of Swords, please, Spirit? The Ten of Swords. Wow. You have the energy of disharmony. Wow. And you have this energy of clinging, and South Node. And our South Node can kind of sometimes tell us where, like, a focus of growth for us in this life, as far as the way that I understand it, the way that it's been explained to me. I, again, am not an astrologist. But it's kind of like a major learning lesson or something that we're trying to master in this life. And this difficult ending could have been part of your soul's path, the way, the opportunity for you to achieve this. And with the 10 here, you have completed it. You have overcome this, or you have, how do I want to say it? Not really overcome it, just completed it. I mean, there's no better way to say that than that. And for some of you with the detachment energy, it may be, you know, staying more detached, not getting wrapped up in things, or even wrapped up in the fantasy of what it could be, or the hope or the dream. It's kind of like dealing with it very realistically and kind of saying, you know, it's good right now, here and now, and I'm fully present with it and making the most of it, but I'm not over glorifying it or telling myself that I need it in order to be happy, or I'm freeing myself from any attachment to it. Or to even what it means, which when we free ourselves to the attachment to it, we're no longer identifying with it, which really automatically changes what we tell ourselves about it. When we're identifying with things, we speak to ourselves in a way of blame, shame, criticizing, judgmental kind of energy. But when we're not identifying with it, when we're detached from it, we're looking at it kind of as if we would any other person, like, oh, well, you learned from that, well, you grew from that, well, you know, maybe it wasn't you, maybe it was this, and maybe, you know, this was something that your soul wanted to learn in this lifetime. You know what I mean? You can see it more objectively, you can zoom out on it. You're not being so harsh because, like, you know, because you've recently suffered or recently experienced something, you allowed yourself to get into a situation that sucked, you know? Then you have that Six of Wands, and it's clarified by trust, divine timing, and then you have reunion, soul ties. And then on the bottom of the deck, you have dark side, moon, the dark night. You may have gone through a really difficult time in order to really overcome something, or, you know, sometimes it's not. With our shadow side, I think sometimes like the mindset around the shadow side isn't totally necessarily right. You know, we think we have to resist the shadow side, or we think we have to overcome it, or we think we have to like do some kind of battle. And, you know, as with all energy, the way to really navigate the space most of the time is to be as neutral as possible, to observe it and say, oh, I have a tendency to do that, or, you know, I kind of have a tendency to want to do that. But now that I'm aware of it, the trick is really awareness. It isn't like not being that way anymore. You know, trying to fight your innate way of being, it doesn't usually work. What does sometimes work is when you just observe it. You know, it's that detachment that we saw on the bottom of the deck last time, and say, oh, you know, I have a tendency to do that. And when I do, I tend not to like the result, or it tends to lead me away from who I am and who I'm really wanting to be, who I'm trying to emulate, what I consider my highest and best. Because that's what our shadow side does. It sort of tricks us into not being the pillar of consciousness that we really are trying to be in that moment. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's more about becoming aware of it, observing it, and not giving into the temptation of it when faced with the stimulus to do it. Do you see what I'm saying? And to kind of, you know, accept it in a way, you know. Acceptance usually is the neutral position. Michael Singer, I love Michael Singer, how he will like lead you through this entire conversation about overthinking and all the things you're thinking and all the fears that come up, and the likelihood that you're going to experience any of those fears is like 3%, you know. And there's like a 97% chance you will never experience that, but you know, but you're going to spend all this time and energy worrying about it, letting it get to you, considering it, wrecking and robbing you of the present moment, and it's probably not going to happen. And he goes, when you feel yourself doing that, relax. Just relax. And, you know, I think, so that is literally what I try to do when I start to feel myself getting keyed up or getting stressed out, or I start to feel my muscles tighten, or I start to feel that I'm getting a little edgy, or, you know, something is getting into some type of dangerous ground with me, where, you know, we know our own triggers. Like if you know yourself really well, then you're aware of what your triggers are. And when you can just say to yourself, relax, just relax, you totally disarm the trigger. You take all the tension out of it, and you breathe, and you move on. And with this Six of Wands here, it's like that may be exactly what you're doing right now. You know, you may have, you know, figured that out. The other day, remember I was talking about acoustical insulation. It's kind of like that, you know. You have figured out a way to you know, let things go instead of wind you up, you know. It could be anything, but there's also this, you have trust in divine time. And when we are not trying to control things, when we are not trying to make something happen for ourselves, when we're not trying to say, you know, I want a relationship, or I want this relationship, or I want this person to come back or reach out or do this or do that or anything, when we just go, you know, whatever is meant for me is going to happen for me when it happens for me. And I trust that it's going to happen. And all I can do is use my free will choices to support that end. And if I continue to do that and I persevere, and every time I feel myself trying to slide into a different direction, I get myself and I pull myself back. The only thing I can control is myself. I can't control another person. I can't control the environment. I can't control who I meet or anything. All I can do is make free will choices to try to put myself in the best position for it. Sometimes we can become so consumed with what we don't have and what we want and what we're lacking that we stop seeing what we do have and what is working out for us and what has worked out for us. And wherever your energy goes, wherever your focus goes, your energy goes. So your Ace of Pentacles is being clarified by remember, cycles, epiphany, and self-care. And, with the cycle, you have change and you have complete. With the remember, it says awakening. And with the epiphany, it says breakthrough. So it's very clear that you are closing a cycle and getting a new cycle. You've had some kind of breakthrough. You're having some kind of spiritual awakening, even possibly. And it can just be about prioritizing yourself, knowing yourself, spending time with yourself, and all the things, the rich world that we can learn in the process of that. And, just having the awareness of ourselves and who we are and what our strengths are and what our weaknesses are and what are the things that trigger us and what vision space do we hold for our future with the Three of Wands? What are we, really trying to use our free will choices to get for ourselves in this life? I just wanted to look at what could be blocking us. Well, what is on the bottom of the deck is, I feel like in the past, Pisces, you have been getting less than you deserve, or even possibly accepting less than you deserve, overgiving to situations, not holding, how do I want to say this? Why do we accept crumbs, right? My husband and I have been watching Poldark on Netflix, and in Poldark there's a scene where the poor are very poor and impoverished and they can't feed their children, and the wealthy are sort of flaunting their wealth, and it's really hard. And so there's a scene where a ship wrecks, and Poldark encourages the impoverished people to use the spoils to feed their children, their starving children. And there's more to it than that. But why do we eat the crumbs? Why do we eat the crumbs? Because we feel we cannot do better. Because we feel that is all that's available. That's all we can afford. That's all we get. And that's why we make a meal on crumbs, or attempt to make a meal on crumbs. And, sometimes it's true, right? Sometimes, the only kind of people that you're meeting are people that are lower vibrational, or people that are abusive, or people that are narcissistic. And it's like, you may feel, I want connection, I want comfort, I want human companionship, I want these things. But when you accept less than what you deserve ever in life, really, I feel like that thing then takes up the space. if you're in that narcissistic relationship, you're not out meeting Mr. Right or Mrs. Right. You're in a narcissistic relationship. You're otherwise occupied. That space in your life is already taken. And so you can't fill it with what could be there. So, it's better sometimes to say, you know what, I know this is less than I deserve, and I'd rather be single than, take this, or it's interesting. I was like meditating, and this came to me of, it's kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? Like they say that relationships are a reflection of what you think you deserve. And, how do I want to say it? Like, it's like before or after. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, because I know I didn't really think about what I deserved when I met my husband, but I can't imagine knowing who I was back then and how I grew up that I would have ever thought that I deserved my husband. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that I would have. I mean, maybe like attractive level, or you know what I mean? Like in that way, maybe. But if I had understood love like I do now, I don't think there's any way in this world that I ever would have thought I deserved my husband at that time. Of course, now that I've been loved like that for 28 years, I'm like, oh no, that's totally what I deserve. And that's only what I deserve. And if I don't get that, then I'm gone. I left my entire family, it teaches you a lot of stuff. To be loved like that. But I think, like, how do you know that you're worth that? You know what I mean? And that's why I always say I hit the jackpot. I couldn't have known, but at the same time, sometimes we have the opposite happen. Like, oh, okay, this person is my same attractive level, because really in the beginning, what do we have, but the physical, there you are, and here I am, and okay, we sort of look like we go together, we're a good match. I'm attracted to you, you're attracted to me. Like, what do you have beyond that? And then it's like you get to know people. But it's crazy how, it's that old saying, like, a healthy love finds you in pieces and takes you to peace. A toxic love, which we had this discussion yesterday, isn't love, right? Love is not toxic. Finds you at peace and takes you to pieces. And it messes with you, and it messes with what you think you deserve. And, none of us, not one among us, deserves crumbs, like, in any way, on any level, in any way. Not to eat, not to survive, not in love, not in anything. This is a very abundant universe, and there is more than enough of everything for everyone. We have been so programmed into a scarcity mindset that a lot of us on the core level, even if we think we believe it, don't really believe it. Because there's evidence all the time, every day in the material world that is just not true. But it is true. It's 100% true. The earth is freaking magic, I mean, my goodness, are we fortunate. Also, oh my gosh, let's just take a second for the people of Jamaica and Cuba and the Caribbean who are just, wow, that category 5 hurricane, oh my goodness. Let's just have a moment to say a prayer for those people, for those spaces, for those places. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Stay strong, survive. We love you. Wow. At any rate, none of us deserve crumbs, and none of us need to settle for crumbs. And, you know, I feel that may be Pisces in some way, on some level, to some degree, this cycle that you're closing out, where you would ever entertain that. So it's interesting because the Ten of Swords, the blockage that comes out, is hard to get. And it says, you are missing opportunities by playing too hard to get. Give someone a chance. And that is oftentimes what happens, especially with feminine energies, which is not gender exclusive. That we can kind of say, well, I'm better off alone, or I like my own company, or, you know, it's a fine line between independent and sovereign and empowered and closed off, you know, because too much of that energy builds a dam, and flow cannot get through. So even if it starts in a good way, an extreme of anything is an extreme, right? No one, I won't let anyone in. I was picking up on this in the very beginning of this reading. So just, you know, if you feel that resonating with you, or you feel you have heard yourself say that or feel that, you might just want to look at it, you know, and really ask yourself, what is my goal? Is my goal to, you know, have a companion and be in a partnership, or, you know, have friends, or, you know, then I need to examine this, because what it is you need to have strong boundaries, is so that you can interact with people, but not, you know, kind of make yourself vulnerable to the wrong person. So when you have a boundary, people only reach intimate places with you, you know, incrementally and slowly over the course of a long period of time, after they have proven themselves worthy of that type of intimacy with you. That's holding a standard, and that's having a boundary. In the present moment, Pisces, you have love as the answer with the Six of Wands, with this trust and this reunion. And I'm telling you, I honestly feel Spirit could not be more direct in telling you, you have love coming in, you know, or, you know, some of you may already have met this person, or may even like be in the beginning of being involved with this person. But love is the answer. Isn't just in regards to love coming to you. It is in the energy of being and putting out the frequency of love and compassion. You know, it's not, that doesn't mean like, oh, letting people into your inner sanctum easily or anything like that. It means, you know, how are you to everyone you come into contact with? Do you smile? Do you thank them? Are you grateful? What is, you know, are you leaving the spaces you enter, you know, a higher frequency than when you walked in? You know, are you introducing high level frequency to all your environments? You know, that's really what love is. You know, it's a very high frequency energy that ripples, that has an effect, that lets other people feel like they've been seen and heard, and that they are accepted the way that they are. You know. There is no judgment. We have judgment here for what's coming in the near future. It says, don't be too quick to count someone out. Be open and give them a fair chance. Interesting. I'm going to leave that there. I'm not going to analyze that. All right, here we go. For Pisces, let's see what is going on. For Pisces, please, Spirit. For Pisces. Wow. You know, Pisces, I feel like you were dealing with people who were very self-entrapped. You know, they were people with limited belief systems, and, you know, they really couldn't, they themselves were very stuck and very trapped and very just limited in their ability to show up for you. You know, it would have had no, how do I want to say it? Like, you couldn't have done something better or more perfect or been someone different and gotten a different result. I don't know who needs to hear that, but that's what's coming out with this. It's like, this isn't you. The only thing is that you gave someone like this a chance. Someone who was trapped in a space of their own making with a limited belief system and an inability to, or they have the ability, this is self-entrapment, but you have to be aware that you're self-entrapped, and you also have to have a desire to not be. And this person is not fighting. They're in, you know, savasana. They're laying in the most kind of like, you know, like, that's how you sleep. That's how you lay when you die. You know, this is like not someone who's exerting any kind of energy or making any attempt to change. Or, yeah, just, they're not doing anything. So it's either it's someone who's not self-aware, or it's someone who has no desire to have anything really and truly be different. So it doesn't matter what you bring to the table. It doesn't matter, you know, if you are the Queen of Sheba. It's not going to motivate or make any difference or make this person change or suddenly be able to function. Even if you are like the best of the best, it isn't going to happen. Even if you're Giselle Bundchen with Brene Brown's wisdom and friggin', you know, you're going to get the same effect with somebody like this. They are who they are what they are, and they have to make the change. And quite frankly, they're at the 8 of Swords. They're not even at the 9. They're not even at the 10. They got a ways to go, and that is if they make any progress, because this is a stagnant energy. It's not going anywhere. So it doesn't matter what you bring to the table. It's not in any way a reflection of you at all, whether or not you could make it work with this person, or whether or not you were a strong enough motivator, or their feelings for you were strong enough to make them want to change. That has nothing to do with it. This is an internal job. This is self-entrapment. And then you have the King of Cups with the Queen of Pentacles. And this is a big shift. The Queen of Pentacles here is holding an amethyst, and some of you are probably February Pisces, right? If you are, I feel like that is a bit of a confirmation, but amethyst is also a crystal that we use to help with intuition. And I consider that all Pisces. So there's kind of this energy of knowing your worth, knowing your value, and knowing that this isn't it. Knowing that this is not a reflection of what you think you deserve. And kind of knowing that what you do deserve is someone who is ready, willing, and able to show up emotionally in a connection. I mean, his heart, his anatomical heart is literally in this cup. You know, he's ready to give his heart away. And he's fine. He can emotionally process on his own. He's not just going to shut down and run away. He can do it. He is capable of it. And you know that that is, in fact, what you deserve. With the Page of Cups, you know, this journey has really led you much closer to your authenticity. And it's with this particular Page of Cups, for whatever reason in this moment right now, it's giving me this like energy of being willing to say out loud or to acknowledge or to kind of put it out there. Yeah, this is who I authentically am. Like, I don't care what people think. I'm not trying to hide it anymore. I'm not trying to make it manageable for other people or put it in a package that looks acceptable. It's just kind of like, here I am, you know? And I know who I am, and I say who I am, and I'm not trying to step away from that in any way. With the tulips here, it's also like saying, I'm a gift. Like, you're lucky to have me. And with the dolphins, it's like, I know that the people that are for me are going to find me. Yeah, you got the Five of Cups here, and you got the Knight of Cups in reverse, and you got the Seven of Pentacles here. You know, this energy, it's like this person can't come forward. They can't offer you their heart. They can't, you know, sometimes we get into relationships with people like this and we think, okay, but they'll shift into high gear eventually. This person's not moving. They're not going anywhere. They're so stuck and closed off and cut off and stagnant that they can't, it doesn't matter what their potential motivating factor would be, whether it's the heart, the pentacle, the wand, the sword, they're not going anywhere. They can't. There is nothing that is going to motivate this person forward except for this person. You know, laying here and going, you know, I'm kind of sick of laying here. I think I want something different. I need to figure out how to get out of here. But like, this person is so relaxed, it doesn't even look like that's happened or happening. Then you have the Five of Cups with this Queen of Pentacles, King of Cups, and it's like the regret for accepting less than you deserve. But we don't, with the Five of Cups, we don't cry over past situations that we can do nothing about. We focus instead on where we're going and what we want. With the Seven of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck, this is a patient energy, and it is also an energy of, you know, the seeds we plant don't ripen the same day. Like, it takes time to find this. It takes time. You know, you're going to kiss a bunch of frogs before you kiss the prince. Isn't that like a saying? It's kind of like that. You aren't just going to first try, there they are. I mean, that didn't even happen to me. I guess it does happen. There are some people who like fell in love in kindergarten. But you know, I don't know about that. That's not my experience. I can't speak to it. All right. Yeah, we have the Seven of Wands with the Knight of Pentacles with the Two of Swords. And I'm like, I feel like Spirit is very visually trying to again and again and again sort of show you this energy of, it's kind of like that Eight of Swords person. You know, when I talk about the Knight of Pentacles, I'm always like, you know, this is a hard decision to make. Like, and I don't know where it's going to go, and I don't know what's going to happen. Honey Beckett, no. Why are you chewing so much today, girlfriend? You cannot. That is my vacuum cleaner attachment. You cannot. Girl, if that does not fit on Grand Dogma's vacuum, I'm going to be very upset, you little crazy girl. Guys, just lay down and wait for me. Just lay down, okay? And wait for me. And then we'll play after this. We'll have fun. We'll do something cool. Yeah, we'll get a good treat or some bugs. All right? Just relax for right now, okay? Just chill out. All right? Just lay down. So we have this energy of someone who's not making that choice. Someone who they're not even attempting to put one foot in front of the other. You know, they're not even saying, you know, progress is progress. Let me just take it one step at a time. They're not even going anywhere. This is a very dense and heavy energy. With the Two of Swords, it's like these are people who are not emotionally available, and they're not even seeing. You know, sometimes we think, oh, I just, how do I want to say this? Like, I just had this conversation with my person, and we talked about where we went to school or something. And now they know that I'm super educated, and I bet they find me more attractive because they know I'm educated. And so maybe they even think my earning potential is higher or whatever. You know, we're looking at ourselves, we're trying to look at ourselves through the lens of someone else and say, oh, I'm sure they saw that, or I'm glad that came up because now they know that. Well, if you're in the Two of Swords and you got a blindfold on, or you're in the Eight of Swords and you got a blindfold on, you're not seeing that. You're not taking it into consideration. You're not looking at it. You're not looking for it. You're not even observing it in the other person. You're cut off. You're blindfolded, and you're not open to seeing it. You don't care. You're just not plugged in. You're not fully present. You're somewhere else in those conversations. And you're not even judging someone like, oh, is this future spouse material, or is this somebody that I want to get in a commitment with? No, because you're so distant and withdrawn and not paying attention, and you're not even in an energy to take any kind of step. These are very stagnant energies, all three of them. You know, you're blocked off. And so, you know, it's not ever, well, I showed them the best of me and they rejected it. Babe, they didn't reject it. They didn't even see it. They weren't looking for it. Nobody was home there. You know, we have this way of being, right, as people, where we go, oh, I'm sure this person was thinking this because I was thinking this, or, you know, they're probably, you know, looking at me and analyzing me the same way I'm looking at them and analyzing them. You know, we put ourselves on other people because that's our experience, right? That's all we know. But other people are not the same as us. Other people are not looking at things the same as us. And even when we fundamentally know that, we still will think, oh, well, we had that conversation, so they knew that, so surely that would have mattered to them. No, if you're not present and you're not hearing it and you're not considering it because you're not looking for it, and you're not making any progress and you're not making any steps, and you're in a completely stagnant energy, you could be Giselle Bundchen running around naked, and they would be like off in their own world, just not even realizing the opportunity that was in front of them. You see what I'm saying? It just, like, I don't know why, but this is like really what Spirit is like. It's like giving me all these crazy examples and like really wanting you to see this. You have the Knight of Pentacles upright with the Five of Swords here, clarifying the Seven of Wands, okay? And then you have the Two of Cups here with the Knight of Pentacles. And you have the Queen of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. And I am feeling you as this Queen of Pentacles that is reoccurring now in your reading, right? And so this is kind of giving me like, how do I want to say this? With the Five of Swords, just like so much of life, it's like, this is what we tell ourselves. Half, like, I would even say more than half of the problem here is what we're telling ourselves about the situation. Like, if you're dealing with someone who is completely freaking blocked and stagnant, and you're still trying to get a positive result from this, or you're still trying to think that they're going to move, or they're going to take action, or it's going to change, or it's going to be different, that thought process is part of your problem. You see what I mean? With the Five of Swords, this can be mental manipulation. And I think when it comes to ourself, I like to call it more mental gymnastics, where you're trying to make something work, you're trying to justify it. You know, like, have you ever seen, like, I don't know, this is such a cliche, but like, if you go shopping with a girlfriend and they're like, okay, I'm only spending $100 today, or whatever, you know, and you go to the mall and you're like, okay, and they're like, hold me to it. Don't let me go crazy. Don't let me look at the shoes. Don't let me look at purses. I cannot be buying them, and I will fall in love with them. And you're like, okay. And then you go to lunch and you have a drink, and you then are walking out to the car, and you walk past the shoe department, and your friend's like, oh, I can look. I'll be strong. I've been really good today. I only spent half of my money, so I'm really doing good today. I deserve to look at shoes. Maybe there'll be something on sale. And then they get there and they fall in love with the $250 pair of shoes, and they start trying to tell you, well, you know, actually, I really did need a shoe like this. And, you know, these are expensive, but they are going to last longer. So technically, in the end, they're going to be cheaper. You know, that mental gymnastics, it doesn't matter that at the beginning of the whole story, we only have $100 to spend, and these are $250, and we've already spent $50, and we went to lunch and had a drink. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you can see it happen in your friend in the shoe department every single time. But when it's you and it's a relationship and it's this and it's that, you know, it's so complicated, and relationships touch on so many. They're like little ping pong balls bouncing around inside of us, bouncing off our triggers, bouncing off our fears and our insecurities and our unmet needs and our wounds. And, you know, they're bouncing off all these things that kind of, it's like I always say, give us like a shortage of oxygen to the brain. It's not like we're doing it on purpose, right? We're not out to undermine ourselves in the world, right? That's definitely not what we're trying to do here. But that's what we end up doing. For one thing, because all the things that a relationship touches within us are so sensitive that we don't really like it. We don't want to just sit with it. We don't want to just like breathe through it and really, you know, ground and center in it. We just sort of want to run the gauntlet before the freaking guillotine comes down on us. You know what I'm saying? We just want to like get through there quick and like avoid getting caught in the guillotine. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, hope for the best kind of energy, you know? And it's kind of like buying the $250 shoes. It's like, all right, well, I won't go out to lunch this week. I won't do this. I won't do that, you know, and hopefully that will make $250. You know what I mean? Or whatever. I'll charge the damn shoes and I'll figure out how to pay for them later. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the thing is. You feel what I mean? But what happens there is this like erosion of our ability to kind of see the truth and to take the steps that are solid and stable and still heading in the direction that we are really trying to head overall in our life. And it kind of corrupts us, and it sort of puts us in this space where all of a sudden it feels like we're not going anywhere, or we're being held back, or we're not able to make the progress that we're longing for or that we're looking for. And also, like, it can even feel like relationship spaces are off limits to us. You know, it's like, well, why do I always find myself in this position? And, you know, like, you see what I'm saying? With the Seven of Wands, that's like a blockage, right? And it's a blockage from being able to just sort of take the steps. But it's like, you've got to have the right material. You've got to have $250 in the bank to feel good about that shoe purchase, even if they're good quality, even if they are, you know, gonna last a long time, and even if you do need them. You still need to pay for them. Like, you still need the $250. And so you still need the human being that is capable of going down the path with you. You need the person that if you take a step, Nine of Pentacles, towards them, they're also capable of taking a Nine of Pentacles step toward you. You see what I'm saying? You got to be able to match stride for stride with somebody. And when you're dealing with these people that are in this type of energy, the Eight of Swords and the Two of Swords, I mean, they're not going anywhere. They're not capable of it. They can't even make up their mind to want something different than stagnancy in their own life. And stagnancy goes against everything we are as spiritual beings having a human experience. Though nothing is staying the same. Not even this person, in their attempt to stay the same, they're not staying the same. Because everything is always changing. They're getting older. Things are changing. So it defies everything natural to be stagnant, period. You gotta work to be like that, you know? So, you know, you have to be with someone who's willing to transform through everything in life, willing to, you know, show up and to like offer you a reflection of what you're offering them. That you have to start with that. You can't start with bad material and think that you're going to somehow sew that into a beautiful prom dress. It isn't going to happen. I don't know what's up with this, Pisces, but this is like coming through. Like, I just got for you. Wow. Okay. These are very interesting energies that you guys are getting here. You had Judgment as, you know, your blockage in the near future. And now you're getting the actual Judgment card here. Which the energy of Judgment is rising above something that is dead. And, you know, it's like, this is a little bit morbid, but I remember when my cousin died, and, you know, I didn't see her like every single day. You know, I mean, she had been in rehab for 90 days. And so when she died, I sort of didn't really have to kind of, it's like I was grieving and I was very sad, but like also it wasn't, it's not like I spent every day all day with her. To where it was like I was just consciously aware of her not being alive anymore, you know, like being present in my life all the time. But every day when I would wake up in the morning, the very first thought I would have is like, she's gone and she's not coming back. Like, I'm not seeing her again. And, you know, it just kept me like in this sort of realization that like this cannot change. And you know, it's not going to change. She's not like at rehab and going to come over for dinner next weekend. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's not coming back. And this Judgment sort of feels like that. You know, it feels as if it's like, okay, wow, I can put that to bed. I like, that's not ever going to work. Any situation I enter into that looks like that, that feels like that is like that, with somebody like that, it is not going to work. I am putting that chapter behind me. I have tried that one enough to know that simply point blank, it is not going to work. And once I put that to bed, once I come to that realization, then I can move on. I can rise above it. I can have a totally different experience than the one that I have had in the past. You have the Seven of Swords in reverse with the Ten of Pentacles upright with the Ace of freaking Pentacles. You guys keep getting the Ace of Pentacles. The Seven of Swords in reverse, it is like letting go of these deceptive thoughts. It's letting go of these ideas and these beliefs and these, this mental trickery or this mental gymnastics that it could be any other way. And sort of just saying, I'm dedicated to not deceiving myself. And it's ironic. I mean, I don't know how ironic it is, but that it's coming out with the Ten of Pentacles, because the Ten of Pentacles is energy that is firmly based in reality. It's based in the material world. This is as serious as a heart attack. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is real material energy. And it really does represent abundance. And, I'm always talking about how these pentacles are in the Kabbalic tree of life. These are the moments that make life worthwhile. And we don't need someone else to have those moments. We can totally have them on our own. But when we share them with other people, it has a different flavor. It has a different characteristic. It's a different kind of experience. But in order to have that, you got to start with this. You got to start with someone who is solid and stable and actually really showing up. And they're not stuck. They're not stagnant. This card holds all the potential. And it truly is what you do with it that matters. That can go the distance. That can become this. That doesn't require any mental gymnastics. It doesn't. And that is, in fact, what you deserve and what you are worth. Wow, guys. Underneath that Queen of Pentacles, the Chariot. Wow, how interesting. So the Judgment is being clarified by the Nine of Pentacles. Wow, with Justice. Damn. Spirit's laying it on thick today. We rise above this energy in some way when we realize we are going to be okay. We're going to survive this. We're going to be okay. Like, we are. You have this Nine of Pentacles, which, it's like when I was saying with the Ten of Pentacles, you can experience these beautiful, collection of moments in your own personal life. It's ironic with the Four of Pentacles here. It's kind of like, as long as you don't give in to the scarcity mindset, as long as you realize how abundant this position is and you celebrate its richness, for what it is. This is a very powerful place. It's funny, before I got on here, I actually was talking to my daughter. She has a friend who recently purchased Louboutin. Is that how you say it? Those high heels with the red on the bottom. And my daughter loves to thrift. She is very she wants to save stuff from going into landfills, and she really believes that it's better quality anyway. And she's not ever, you're not going to catch her with some kind of name brand unless it's a vintage Dior purse that she thrifted somewhere and then brought back to life. She does not really understand why anyone would buy that, but I'm well, if you, work hard and you can afford that, and you, there are certain spaces where it does help you to have that kind of thing. Anyway, but, she's at a space in her life where she cannot definitely afford anything like that. And, anyway, why was I telling you the story? I don't know, maybe to justify my whole shoe example, but we were having this conversation, about like the practicality of life, and like the, it is nice to buy good quality things that are going to last a long time, and that, are going to be classically styled and simple and whatever, that you're never going to get tired of. Like, those are kind of smart purchases. But she always goes back to, but I find those in the thrift store all the time, and she was like, and you know what, a lot of times I've worn them for years and then donated them again, and they've probably had a third and a fourth and a fifth life, and I was like, well, that is true. But with the Nine of Pentacles, there is this celebration of, having gotten to the space where you can be almost frivolous. And what I mean when I say that is, there is a certain frivolity in, I don't need anyone else to survive. I can do this myself. Not that you necessarily want to, but you can, and there is a gratification in that, and there is a certain like energy signature of that. Like, when someone reaches that point in their life where they really are, a frequential match for that kind of energy of like, I'm kind of a badass, I'm not dependent on any external thing for my validation or for my happiness or for my abundance. I am self-contained. I've done it all. I can do it all. I am doing it all. I am here right now doing it. And with this judgment, that death, right? That like, wow, I am never doing that again. I am never accepting crumbs again. Why would you? When you're in the Nine of Pentacles, why would you? You would never. When you're in the Nine of Pentacles, you have so much that you can give to other people so that they don't have to accept crumbs either. And like, some would say that's our job, it's an extremely abundant, healthy, fortunate mindset. It's not going to the extreme of, I don't want anyone else, or I'm not interested in anyone else, or I'm not going to give anyone a chance because I just don't need them, so why would I? It's not that. That's an extreme. This is a celebration of, I don't have to. I can and I may, but I don't have to. The Four of Pentacles is clarifying the Ten of Pentacles and the Seven of Swords. And at first I was like, that does not make sense. But remember in the beginning of this, when I was talking about sort of the scarcity mindset of the world, where, we are really living, obviously the belief persists that there isn't enough, because you see it everywhere. There is the greed at the top, and there are people living off crumbs in the street. Here in Florida, you can't even live on the street. It's illegal. Isn't that lovely? Here's the thing, guys. There is more than enough. And when we stop believing this scarcity mindset, when we stop whatever it is that we believe, that is like, I'll never find someone, all people are crap, you can't trust anyone, dating right now is for the birds, this, that, like all of these things that we say out loud and that we think all the time, what paints us into the corner of why it isn't happening for us, why it isn't showing up, why we don't already have it, all of those thoughts, all of those things, those beliefs persist. That contributes to the collective consciousness, which you can see everywhere, of there isn't enough. So I've got to hoard everything that I can, or I'm living off crumbs and I can never expect more than that. I'm lucky to have the crumbs. Either way, that belief system doesn't really work, and it's not accurate. It isn't the truth. There is far more evidence that there is more than enough. I mean, you want to know, this really puts something in perspective for me. I'll share it with you guys, whoever's here or left at the end. I love you guys, by the way. I read this thing that said, you know how diamonds are like so valuable here on Earth? Well, in the universe, they're really not valuable at all. Carbon is one of the most common, what is it? Like substances out there in the universe. In fact, there's a huge planet that is actually a solid diamond. But you know what is rare? Wood. And look how we treat wood on Earth. This is the only place wood occurs. And look how we treat it. You know what's ironic is my husband and I were in Hawaii, like, I don't know, like probably 2017, 2018. And we went scuba diving, and his wedding ring fell off his finger. And he always tells the story, and he's like, I just watched it. It just like went like this down to the bottom of the ocean. We couldn't get it. And, my initial reaction was like, oh my God, because there is a little like superstitiousness, or I have a little superstitiousness, I think, where I was like, oh my God, that's the wedding band. But then I thought, wow, what a better place or a better way to remember this trip to Hawaii and like blah, 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 blah. Then, I'll buy him a wedding band. And we took a tour to the top of Mauna Kea, and it was spiritual as hell. I mean, it was just, there were so many things I was feeling there. It was just out of this world. And it felt like you were on Mars. Like it was otherworldly. Hawaii is such a beautiful and special and sacred space. But, so we got up there, and I kind of like fake proposed to my husband. Like, I don't know. It was just me and him. Like, I mean, like, that's just how we are. Like, what this was. Like, I'm always like, oh my God, I love you. And he's like, okay. You know what I mean? I'll be a willing participant for now, Anyway, so I bought him a wedding band with koa wood. It has like koa wood in it. And so I told him, I was like, man, babe, in the universe, your ring is more valuable than mine. And he was like, yeah, tell that to my bank account. But isn't that funny? Isn't that, I mean, I don't know. But like when I read that, I just was like, whoa. And it's like, we get so focused on kind of a groupthink mentality of like, it is this way. And there's plenty in the material world to say, yeah, it is that way. Yeah, there are people eating crumbs. And yeah, there are people who are hoarding wealth and not doing anything good with it. And yeah, there is evidence of the scarcity mindset and that it's true and like whatever. But you know what else? There's freaking evidence that, this space is limitless and abundant and amazing. And we are insanely fortunate to be here right now having this experience. And so it's like, it's your choice. What is your mindset? What do you want to buy into? What do you want to believe? What do you want to contribute? And it's not just like that in the world. It's like that in love. It's like that in everything. So, sometimes you have to hang on past the point where it's comfortable, right? To like get the reward, right? Like sometimes you're like, I don't know about this. I don't know about this. But like, I've had this conversation with a lot of my friends. What is wrong with having hope? It's like, well, it feels like shit when my hope is dashed. Well, if you never quit, if you persist, your hope's never going to be dashed. There's always going to be a reason to hold on to that hope. There's always going to be tomorrow. There's always going to be right now and the next moment and the moment after that. You could get lucky and just meet your person walking down the street to your car. You know what I'm saying? Like, it happens. I literally have met someone who their person showed up at their apartment, literally knocked on their door, and it was the wrong address. They were trying to go to their friend's house for the first time, and they went to like an apartment complex that just had like building numbers on the side, but then had the same numbers on the apartment, and just like literally went to the wrong door, knocked on the door, and met their spouse that way. So it happens. It can happen anytime, but it's not going to if you don't hold on to that belief, if you don't consciously decide to shift your mindset. I don't know, but it feels like, hey, Pisces, it's coming, it's available, it's here, you know? So it's all about becoming in this moment the frequential match to have a successful experience. All right, let me get you guys some message cards. Okay. If you're dealing with water sign, I am ready for more than just text, resentment, I miss you more than you know, and indecisive. If you are dealing with a fire sign, you have fantasizing, hopeful, I can't walk away, and blocking. If you are dealing with an earth sign, you have good intentions. Suddenly, all songs I hear are about you. Man, that feels like new love right there. Suddenly, all songs I hear about you. Suddenly, like right now, all of a sudden, I'm listening to songs and I'm thinking about you. You're the new face on my songs. Like, that's what I'm feeling right there. Twin flames, and you will always be my secret love. Ooh, somebody might have a secret admirer who would normally listen to earth sign messages. I'm just saying, it's all there. All right, if you're dealing with an air sign, you changed my whole direction. The changes are real, controlling, and I am making plans. All right, this is what I have for you guys today. I hope it helps. I hope it brought you some peace and clarity. Thanks for hanging out with me if you've made it all the way to the end. Wow, I just looked up and saw 111. Okay, love you guys. Till next time, all my best. Always, always, always. Bye-bye.